Welcome to Good Business Today. I'm Whitney Fitzsimmons and joining me is Kumar Parakala. He was a senior partner at KPMG and he specialised in helping clients, particularly boards and CEOs, cope with the technology conundrum. He joins me now. Kumar Parakala, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Whitney. I'm very happy to be here.
Now, you've been a strong believer and supporter of board and CEOs taking responsibility for getting technology agendas right. Why is that?
Whitney, because technology has fundamentally changed our way of living and our way of working. I'll give you a very good example. We used to go to banks and line up in a queue to do our banking at a branch. Now we don't do that anymore. For example, newspapers, we used to get a paper copy and I would spend the morning reading my newspaper a couple of hours, but I now go to my iPad to read the newspaper. So similar kind of changes are sweeping every industry, enabled by technology. And if a business needs to go ahead and grow and capitalize on new opportunities, it needs to really understand what technology can do for that business. And very importantly, with digital technologies now fundamentally reshaping each and every industry, I think this time is absolutely critical for board directors and CEOs to really understand the potential of digital.
So should board directors be interested in getting a grip on their technology agenda, and what should they be aware of, or what are the trends from your experience of advising boards and CEOs in this area?
Absolutely. I think board directors should be not only interested in the trends, but also get some level of in-depth understanding of what those technologies can do for their business. And that is going to then help them think about the implications and how their business can be enabled by the use of the technology, or how their competitors are leveraging it so that they can compete with them. So I think it's absolutely essential for the board directors to get a good grip on the technology trends. Now, you asked a very interesting question on what are the technology trends as we speak. So digital disruption is a major technology trend, and it is happening with technologies such as social media, mobility, cloud, and analytics. That is fundamentally changing the way businesses are operating. So that is a big change for any business. The boards still don't understand what this means, and there's a huge opportunity for them to understand its implication.
It sounds very complex. Do you think that the boards can see the opportunities that are there?
Absolutely. Even though it is complex, I think the lack of familiarity with technology landscape makes it more difficult for board directors. Watermark survey, which was completed recently and released, concluded that 55% of the board directors are either accountants or lawyers, and only 5% of them understand technology. Now, with such a heavy reliance on technology and almost 95% of the board directors agreeing that technology is mission critical, I think it is very important for them to understand what it can do for the business, because it is mission critical, and leverage it.
So what is the next trend you're seeing on the board's agenda?
So the board directors are interested in these trends relating to digital technologies, but also they are becoming very conscious of the fact that the IT organizations in their companies are changing as well. The role of the CIO is changing, and the responsibility of the IT department is changing. So IT reorganization is another trend that is emerging. I mean, IT has always been in a change mode over the last 10 years, but with digital, the change has accelerated. Last but not least, as you know, many companies, especially the top 100 ASX listed companies, Fortune 500 companies, they have been heavily outsourcing to offshore destinations. And now offshore outsourcing has become a way through which they are able to compete and maintain their profitability. Now, that is going to go through a huge change because of cloud computing. And boards are now trying to understand what would cloud do to their millions of dollars of offshore arrangements. So these are some of the trends that are emerging as far as boards' interests are concerned. And increasingly, I think board directors are taking more and more interest in these matters.
So Kumar, what about cybersecurity? Is that a board issue?
Absolutely, Whitney. Cybersecurity is a very big board issue, particularly if you take into consideration the increase in cyber attacks on large corporations. They have increased by 20% in the last 12 months. And in a recent interview, one of the leading experts has said that Australia is quite underprepared in an event where there is mass cyber attacks on Australian corporations. So yes, boards need to be very much aware of implications of cyber attacks and the impact of cyber attacks. And they need to make sure that they take adequate measures to protect organizational assets in the event there is a cyber attack on the organization. It is very similar to any other major business risk that an organization is facing. The board would be responsible for it. On the same note, I think the boards need to make sure that they are managing the risk properly.
And what is the effect on enterprise mobility?
Enterprise mobility, as you know, allows people to use handheld devices and leverage the computational power of technology, give them flexibility. They're able to do their work from anywhere, anytime. Now, that has got a huge implication in the way in which organization culture is created and organizations' facilities are leveraged and used.
Kumar Parakala, thanks for speaking to us.
Thank you, Whitney.